Welcome to the Art of Healing with your host, Dr. Judy Jasek of Animal Healing Arts, and Matt Rowe of ParsleyPet. During our show, we are talking about your pet's health, raw feeding, and alternative treatments for cancer, unexplained illnesses, and supporting your pet's natural ability to heal. Welcome, Dr. Judy, to this week's show.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be here as always.
Yeah, this one's going to be fun. We're actually going to talk about what is the best way to work with your vet. And so if if you're watching the show, you have a pet, you have a dog, you have a cat, you have somebody that is taking your heart over in your home. And now we do have to take them to the doctor. And so what is the best way to work with your vet to get the best use out of that limited time that we have with our vet? And we want to make the best use of that time, because if anybody's like me, I get everything set, ready to go. I get Leo in the car. I show up at your office. And then when I leave, I'm like, oh, I should have asked that question. Why didn't I ask this one? And so I remember everything I wanted to say after the appointment.
You know how you get around that, Matt? You call your wife. She'll remind you. I have had a lot of clients do that. They're like, wait a second, can I just call my wife? Because I know I forgot to ask you something, and then I'm going to hear about it when I get home. Can I just call her and then make sure? Because I'm sure I didn't remember everything. So that's a fallback for you.
That's brilliant. And it's sometimes, your wife is working and all that. If it's anything like Jamie, she's like, I can't answer the phone right now. It's like, all right, I'll do my best. Right. So there's all of that stuff is, emotionally, when we get into the vet, there is an emotion that actually emerges inside your body that releases cortisol, a hormone inside your system. And this is, now you're going to step into my background a little bit, is being an industrial psychologist and actually taking a look at how hormones regulate your brain within your functioning on a day-to-day basis. That is just one of those elements. So when cortisol gets releases, when we go to a doctor or we go to our vet, we have different emotions that erupt, and when cortisol releases, that affects your clarity of thought, affects your prefrontal cortex. And so all those things that you remembered after the appointment, it's not by accident. You actually had a chemical release that kept you from remembering everything you needed to cover. So prior to your appointment, or prior to an appointment with a vet or a doctor, what do you recommend?
Yeah. And it's really challenging these days too, because there's curbside drop-offs, right? You don't even get to go in with your pet. And I think that it could make it even harder for people to remember, because you're on the phone. But either way, it's like you said, you have this emotional response. Your body literally is in this like fight or flight mode, in which, you're in this kind of survival mode, and remembering the details of this list of questions that you made is not a priority when you're, in a fight or flight situation. So the best thing to do is be prepared. And, it's just some things to kind of be aware of from the veterinary perspective. A lot of veterinarians, especially in the real big, busy corporate type clinics, they don't have a lot of time. They have about 15 minutes. So you want to be very concise. What are you taking your pet in for? What are your major concerns? What do you want to get out of the visit? And because the more targeted you can be with your questions, and, try to avoid to not get too tangential. I know everybody loves to tell pet stories and tell stories about your family, and, that's great. But if you have limited time to address your pet's needs, it really helps to be very concise on that visit. Make the list of questions, be very clear with your veterinarian what you're hoping to get out of that visit.
Correct. And that is, you talk a lot about the stories and everything else, what you mentioned in there. It's easy if you're nervous when you go in. At moments of being nervous, we tend to talk a lot. We tend to want to get everything out. And also, if we feel like we're rushed, that just elevates that emotion that goes up. Because I mean, that's something that I've taught classes, where there's an exercise that I do where I actually get you to emit a little bit of stress, and it's all due to timing. And so if I stress you out with timing, all of a sudden clarity of thought leaves your brain and you go back to what you know or what you have learned since you were young. So for example, if I ask you for a color under a moment of stress, you're going to give me a primary color. You're not going to give me mauve. You're not going to give me forest green. You're going to give me what is the most easily readable available information at the moment. So in a doctor's appointment or in a vet appointment, yes, they, your conventional vet may only have 15 minutes. At times, when I brought Leo in because of his injury, you were so graceful with your time and everything, but still it was limited. I didn't want to take an hour for an appointment to wrap a leg. I wanted to take the 15 minutes because I'm busy, you're busy, we have a
Mhm.
lot going on. But at times I still felt that I would get in the car and go, oh, I didn't ask her if I could remove the bandage at night. I didn't ask her if I could do this, where typically I can get it solved with an email that I send you. But also that's the last thing I want to do is saying, hey, I forgot. Can you answer my emails for me?
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that's, something else that can be valuable if the pet has a chronic issue, like, Leo's leg was healing for a number of weeks.
yeah.
For pets with ongoing chronic illness issues, keep a journal because, sometimes something will happen like, oh, yeah, I forgot to ask about this thing that happened 3 nights ago. I wanted to find
Mhm.
out if that was a concern.
Right.
If you write in your journal and don't take the whole journal necessarily into your visit, but read through it before
Right.
you go in and say, oh, yeah, I want to ask about that. And I want to ask about that. And then note those things down too.
I,
And another thing too is when you're under this pressure and you're feeling emotional and say
mhm.
your pet is ill and
Yeah.
there's options being given and you're not sure you're just like, oh gosh, I don't know, like I work with a lot of cancer patients and I can do all these different
Yeah.
things. Don't make a decision or commit to a treatment plan unless it's an emergency. Okay, if your pet is
Mhm.
in need of emergency care, you just have them do whatever's necessary to get your pet stable. If it's
Correct.
seizuring, got hit by a car, those
Mhm.
instances, yeah, just do what you need to do to fix my pet. But when you're talking more long-term treatment protocols,
Mhm.
really take a step back. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to clients that were like, I was like nervous about that, but I was there and the vet said it was the
Mhm.
right thing to do. So I did it. And now I'm wishing I hadn't. And,
Mm.
you know, nothing, horrible, again, short of an emergency, nothing horrible is going to happen if you take a step back, give yourself 24 hours, come down from the emotional rush, maybe do a little research, maybe you decide to get a second opinion.
Right.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I actually like working with clients that research and that are
Mhm.
educated and they come into me with questions like, well, I looked up,
Mhm.
this, treatment protocol you're recommending, and I have
Right.
these questions. And I'm like, great. I want people to be engaged. I want to see people
Mhm.
advocating for their pets. And sometimes I learn things because there's so much
Mhm.
information out there. I can't keep up on everything that comes out, and they'll ask me about some supplement or something they read, and I'll
Mhm.
be like, oh, I'd love to read that article. I hadn't heard that. There's
Right.
always so much to learn. But if trust your gut, if you're just feeling like I'm feeling pressured, I don't know if this is the right thing for my pet, then don't
Mhm.
do it. I mean, you can always go back in or get a second opinion. It doesn't mean that the veterinarian was bad or wrong, but everybody practices a little differently, and you need
Mhm.
to find a treatment protocol that you feel really good about for your pet. So,
Yeah.
take a step back, feel like you're making an informed decision, and you absolutely have the right to informed consent.
Mhm.
Veterinarians should not be doing things to your pets without your consent. And I think that's also really important with these curbside drop-offs. Make sure that you're very clear that you want to see, I would suggest in writing, get a written estimate of what they're intending to do. And not that they're trying to be deceitful, but they're busy. And, sometimes things that would be considered routine in the veterinary clinic, you may not feel as routine for your pet. Such as updating vaccines and things like this, that you might say, no, I don't want to do that right now. You absolutely have the right to informed consent, but you may have to ask, hey, I want to see that, a written estimate before you do anything. And, you're going to be talking to the vet on the phone, from what I understand, that my practice, I have a small practice, you do get to come in and see me, but the bigger clinics, I think, to just keep the volume of people in and out down, they're limiting that. So, be informed and feel good about what's being proposed for your pet.
No, and I love that. And like, really being as informed as possible. But also, you made a great point not 5 minutes ago where you talked about journaling. And so this isn't like you have to go buy a new journal or anything like this. It can be a simple piece of paper. You sit and you're writing down your observations of what you're seeing with your pet. And let's say your pet has cancer and you're trying a new food protocol. Well, you're not going to remember, oh, I fed this raw-based diet. This is what Dr. Judy recommended. And now my dog has loose stools. It's experiencing diarrhea. Well, if that happened a week ago before my appointment, which was a week later, I may not remember that specific incidents happened when I changed the diet, which sometimes is common when you switch to a raw-based diet. It is the stomach is cleansing, everything's getting out. So yeah, you will see diarrhea at some points during that. But it's great if I journaled it and wrote it down, then I can compile the high points of those notes and say, oh, 2 weeks ago on this date when I started feeding raw, this is what happened. Then all of a sudden now I've got a very focused conversation with you to know that, what can I do to address this situation? And you can ask questions back. And now you're having a good conversation about the best care of your pet. And something I have noticed is when I do that for myself, I'm calmer during the appointment. And I feel better when I leave your appointment, is because I'm like, oh yeah, I had everything answered. And the point that you made about calling my wife, which is absolutely spot on, right? I can go home and you're going to get questions. I always get questions from Jamie. What did Dr. Judy tell you? And if I, in the moment, am still reeling from all, like everything that we talked about and all this copious amounts of information, I'm not going to remember everything. So really at that point too is relaying that information to other caregivers in your home, because if Jamie comes in the next time, we don't want to start over from where I left.
Right.
We want
And you
to start
can,
from that.
yeah, and you could record too. That's another thing. I've had people come in with their phones. Hey, do you mind if I record the visit for, my spouse or partner, or the kids or whatever?
Right.
And then you can remember the whole thing. Or, I've had people put me on speaker if their, family members are available, they just didn't come in, then, they can at least listen in too. I've had that happen, and yeah, as far as writing stuff down too, have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, like maybe in a couple different rooms in your house too, because you might think of something in the bedroom. We always get these waves of insight at 3 a.m. at least I do. You wake up and like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. Write that down. Or, oh yeah, I forgot. Remember to ask the vet that tomorrow. And then by the time you wake up and you're taking care of the kids and feeding the dog, you're not going to remember it. So, have it, by your bed, in the kitchen. Oh yeah, I want to ask this question about the food. And that's really helpful, and that'll help, I think, eliminate a lot of frustration, both on the pet parent's part, and on the veterinarian. Your veterinarian wants to help you but they are limited on time, and it's very stressful if they get behind and they know they have people waiting. So if you're respectful of that time, then I think you'll find it, and you're organized and you're respectful of your veterinarian's time. I know I appreciate that greatly. I think you're going to get also more favorable response from your vet.
No, and at some point, it's really thinking about it that it's our responsibility as pet parents to be the voice for our animals. And part of that voice is preparing, is having your questions ready to go, having your concerns ready to go, so that when you do sit down with Dr. Judy or another vet, you're making the best use of that time. And I love how you said that, but being being a responsible pet parent is also preparing. It's also being ready for that appointment. And really, with some of the pets that you see that have cancer, I mean, that is a scary, scary time, because we never want to see any of our loved ones hurt or in pain or having issues at all. So really being as prepared as possible is the best care that I can be a part of for the animal. And so, as you're doing your part of being this incredible veterinarian and getting the best protocol to helping them live a longer, happier, better life. But as a pet parent, if it's only one-sided and you're doing it, then I feel that it's falling off, that I need to show up 100% to that conversation as well.
Right. Yeah. You have to have some accountability. If you want to be, part of the decision making, which, again, I certainly recommend. Be educated and understand the recommendations that you're being given, and if you're not sure, get another opinion.
Yeah, and go that route. So, biggest thing from today's show is journal. Write down everything you know about your pet. If your pet is sick, I'm sorry, but really take the time to start writing down what is going on. So when you do get your appointment with your vet, you can actually make the best use of that time. And also, like you said, in there, you're also receiving, it's not that you're receiving different care, it's just more focused care. It's better care because you took the time to prepare for that. So thank you very much for giving us a little bit of insight into a vet practice.
Right. A little bit of the behind the scenes, info.
That's right. And this is just everything we do as pet parents and move forward. If it was Henry or Alex, those are my kids. And if it was anything with them, I tend to be a little bit overly prepared, but I don't think that can ever be anything. But it's just because I'm just really aware of that situation going on. So it's your pet is your family member, and be aware, be 100% in that game for you to actually have the best conversation with your vet as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can somebody find you, Dr. Judy?
Well, my practice name is Animal Healing Arts, and my website is ahavet.com. The email is info@ahavet.com. And my phone number is 720-515-2421.
Awesome. And if you are in the Denver area, I highly recommend finding Dr. Judy, reaching out to her and talking to her about your pet. She is incredible. She helped my dog Leo with a really bad leg injury, and I happily report that he's better. It's healed. It's just a scar now. It's not an open wound. And I'm so grateful for all of your help through all of that.
Now
And
you just got to keep him from jumping the fence again, right?
That's it. So that we actually have a trainer coming to help with that. And, we're thinking, like, it looks like prison in my backyard right now, Judy, but and so with all of that, and also if you are not in Denver, Dr. Judy does take appointments online, and she can answer your questions about cancer and cancer treatments and alternative methods for actually helping your pet. So I highly recommend reaching out to her and going to ahavet.com and checking her out online. You can also reach out to us at ParsleyPet. So we are going to do a nutritional blueprint, which we are going to test the nutrients inside your dog's body and making sure that they are receiving the proper nutrition that they need for themselves. And so really with all of it, you can reach out to us. You can follow us on Facebook and see all the great content we're putting out. Follow us on Instagram, or you can reach out to us at hello@parsleypet.com or visit our website at parsleypet.com. So thank you, Dr. Judy, for being a part of the show today. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Appreciate you hosting and figuring out all the technology stuff. It's awesome.
Someday I'll get it all figured out, right? So
I think you do great.
thank you. All right, you guys enjoy. Have a great day today.
Okay, bye-bye.